Okay, so maybe hate's a strong word. We really love the property so far, but we were just going for a dramatic effect. But so we're going to be sharing with you the 5 things that we hate about our property. We spent a lot of time looking for a good property.
Months and months and months.
And there's always going to be pros and cons to every property, so today we're sharing the cons and some of the things that we didn't like so much about it. One of the things that we didn't want and that we didn't like about this property was neighbors. We were looking for a private property really out in the country where we didn't really have neighbors. We don't hate people, but we just wanted
like
privacy.
Space and,
yeah. This place has neighbors, so this is the number one. So as you can see, we have plenty of neighbors. We're on a dead-end street, but there's kind of a main road that goes that way. But even though we have neighbors, we're still in the country, and there's a lot of farms, and our neighbors behind us have chickens and a garden and everything, so everybody seems really cool, and I think it'll be fine. We're on the edge of our field, and you can probably hear there's a lot of noise behind us, and not just the birds. We actually live pretty close to a major highway. I mean, it's not huge, but there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
It's noisy, and we were unsure how we'd feel about that, having that kind of constant traffic sound. It's one of the things that I was worried about, but it's not so bad.
It's not really that bad.
It probably sounds worse than it is. Ashley, it reminds her of, she's always telling me she feels like she's on vacation, like the sound you'd hear in a hotel.
Yeah.
You always hear the cars going by. So we just are pretending we're on vacation all the time.
Which is kind of neat.
Yeah. But yeah, we didn't want to live close to a highway, but we're living close to it, and it's better than Kokomo because at our old house we lived next to an intersection, and you'd always hear the revving when people take off, and it would be just obnoxious, loud.
And the cars in Kokomo were extremely loud.
Yeah.
Like so many of them were like, had busted up mufflers and just loud motorcycles.
So that's number 2, the loud highway. All right, number 3 is that our field has a high water table, so there are some wet spots. We don't know if these are year-round wet spots, but they were there when we looked at it. It's a very wet time of year. We have the snow melt, we've had rain. It's just soggy right now, so it's hard to tell, but it's not too bad. It's mostly at the end of our field, so we can deal with that. We're planning on taking these wet spots and just kind of letting them stay natural and giving a place for birds and butterflies and flowers and just everything to kind of grow some trees and whatnot. So we probably won't have the livestock back here anyway, so it's not a big deal. But
it'll be a nice place to come and just be in the natural grown-in area.
Yeah, but it is definitely a con to the property because wetland isn't great for livestock, so it limits our use of our field, unless we have animals like ducks or something that can enjoy the wetness.
Yeah.
Number 4, the cold. When we were looking for property, we really wanted to move further down south. We're so tired of the cold. Instead, we moved a little further north, believe it or not. Complete opposite.
Yeah.
But
we just weren't finding anything.
We were looking
warmer.
in Kansas, to be honest. We wanted to move down to Kansas or that area, southeast Kansas. But we didn't find anything that really worked for us, and this worked, and it really called to us, so we decided that the cold was a trade-off that we could handle. So the cold isn't so bad as long as you dressed right and you have a warm house to go into. We've dealt with it this long. We've lived up north our whole life, so it's not so bad. Number 5, the last thing that we hated about this property is that it's smaller than we wanted. When we were looking for properties online, we wanted something maybe 5 to 7 acres in that range. This property is just over 3 acres, so it's smaller than we wanted. That's not always a bad thing, but it does limit us as to what we can accomplish here. So it's definitely one of the negatives about the property. So even though it's smaller, we can do a lot with the property, and we can do almost everything that we want, maybe on a little smaller scale. but it's still a good property for us, and I think it's going to turn out well.
Yeah, once we get that field cleared and all the fencing up, we can do a lot with it.
Every property has its pros and its cons, so we're just pointing out the cons. It might help somebody else who's looking for a new property, a new homesteading property, some of the stuff they might want to look for. But these are the things that we didn't like about this property. But the things that we liked so outweigh the negatives that we didn't mind. And we can definitely work with them and just work around them. Every problem has a solution. So we're going to figure out how to work around the issues that we have here. For example, the neighbors, we wanted privacy. We have a lot of neighbors, but that might not be a negative in the long run. We might end up benefiting from each other, helping each other out, and you never know. You could have some really good neighbors, so that might not be so bad. The highway, there's really no positives to that other than we can get to local shopping pretty quickly, but it's noisy. We're just going to deal with it. It's not too bad, and it's better than what we came from, and
maybe when the leaves grow, it'll make it less loud.
Yeah, block some of that road noise. And right now it's like a concrete road and it's really noisy. If they put it blacktop down, it'd be a lot quieter too. The wetness is tricky. We don't know how wet the field stays. It's pretty soggy right now, but it's a really wet time of year, so it's hard to judge it. We're just going to try to work around the wetness. Like we said, we want to section the back end of the field off and kind of let that run natural so we can have some trees and some woods. Belle really wanted woods. We didn't have any woods on this property, so maybe we can create them. And we're just going to use the rest for livestock. The cold, again, we can't change the cold, but we can make it more comfortable, and at least we have the benefits of having, fun. Ashley loves it when it snows outside and it's beautiful, and, it's not always bad. And usually we don't like the cold because we are cold. We keep our heat low and we're always cold. So you're cold outside and you're cold inside. So when we moved here, we said we're going to be warm inside so that we don't mind the cold. In the future, we plan on getting a wood stove of some sort. And that's going to make the winter so much better because you can sit in front of a nice warm fire. And that's going to change everything, I think.
And also when you dress good. When you dress warm to go outside, it makes a huge difference.
I never dress warm, but I'm going to start. Yeah, and the last problem, the property is smaller than we originally wanted, but it also has some pluses to it because it's easier to maintain, it's less taxes, and we can still do basically everything we want to do. So we're willing to work with that, and we think that this property is in a good location, so it'll gain value. And if we want to move in the future to a bigger piece of land, we will be able to do that. So be sure to check out tomorrow's video. It's going to be the 5 things that we love about our property. We can't just leave it with the things we don't like. We're going to tell you what we do like. So until then, take care.
Bye.